Hi everybody, welcome to Just Ask Julius. I am Casey Wallace. I am your channel and your conduit for the enlightened group Julius. We're going to be having discussions today on today's topic interrelated to sacred sites, star constellations, ley lines, some of the monuments, mysterious monuments that exist around the Earthship. And we want to invite you to just sit back and enjoy the transmission. From civilization to civilization, human beings, human embodiments, have regurgitated themselves, reincarnated themselves from lifetime to lifetime, pushing themselves into amnesic states or sleeping states. And upon revisiting to walk on this Earthship again, they commonly come through without any remembrance of what they left here, what they created here, why they created what is here, and the significance of leaving them here from timeline to timeline. We want to support in this discussion that we fully acknowledge that each of you are multidimensional beings. You, as souls, have embodied yourselves in countless costumes, and you traverse across the galaxies in all different kinds of positions, all different kinds of perspectives, all different kinds of costumes, and all different forms of identities. In all of those experiences, you are walking in a desire to know yourself further as Source. You put on these different costumes in order to gain different perspectives, and also to know and experience different gift possibilities for your own selves that you put into alignment to expose itself through your costume, through the realm that you exist on, and through the atmospheric conditions that you land in. This Earthship is host to countless types of beings, countless forms of costumes that souls wear and utilize the Earthship as an experience platform to demonstrate creative thought and to know themselves as empowered beings. And though you have been brought to think or believe that these existences from all of these types of beings come in what we want to call blankets of existences. Like you believe that just the Palladians were here at a particular time, or just the Atlanteans were here at a particular time, or just the Venusians were here at the particular time. That different types of species encompass the whole world collectively, and that's the type of species, one at a time, that exists here at the Earthship. But that has been a limited truth. There is a blending and a mixture of all of those types of forms of your own self that you hold and house in your DNA strand, in your genetic fields. And so we support that all of you are a melting pot of all forms of different beings that you have tried on, that you have experimented with, and that you have played with and created through. And that this Earthship has become quite a smorgasbord of those variables. We also want to support to you that we do not live the limited theory that you are any one of these beings. We do not support that any one of you come from any particular planet or galaxy. We support that you are all souls. Those are expansive energies from Source thought itself. You come from thought. You are thought expanded into light. And from there, you bounce around in all different costumes. And if you want to get really crazy, we're going to tell you that that is all simultaneously happen in the moment of now. It has not occurred from lifetime to lifetime, as if you have a previous state. That we support that all of this sits in the moment of now. And though that blows your minds mostly because you cannot conceive of it, because you are caught in the illusion of a timeline, we assure you that that is the ultimate truth. From there, truths trickle themselves down. They dilute themselves down in forms of ways in order for you to accept through your brain-activated capacity who you are, and what is going on. When you are in a limited state of consciousness, individuality is what is accepted to you. And so you have interrelated markers to calling another species an alien or a foreigner or someone else or something else other than you. And then you support creative theories and limited truths that will stabilize that perspective in its steadfast knowing for yourself, which then can become quite a wall or a block in order for you to accept yourself further from a singular component. Those of you who have accepted that all of this is happening in the now, that everything out there is a fractalized version of you, that you do not come from a galaxy, and you do not come from a planet, and you do not come from any one particular type of species, but you rather have remembrance and relationship with particums or fractals of your own selves from lifetime to lifetime, so that you could get narrowed into believing that you are a particular type of being or a particular form of a costume, and that is really who you are. It is only a very small part of all that you are, Master, for you are all thought. And you are all emotion possibility, for emotion expands thought into a demonstration unlike any other. This is Source continually expanding itself. The Earthship is a platform that you created in order for you to know yourself as Source through physical types of experiences. And you have traversed and played on this platform thousands of times, tens of thousands of times, hundreds of thousands of times, millions of times. And you leave behind you the demonstrations of your creative abilities. You create things and they remain. And then as you reincarnate yourself or regurgitate yourself, you usually come back in a much, let's say this, a big distance exists between your last time you incarnated and the time you come back now. And you can't remember that you left all this stuff in the garage. And now you open up the garage and you're like, wow, look at all the treasures that we found in the garage. I wonder where all of that came from. If you could see yourselves from our perspective, we would kind of laugh at your amnesic state and then really encourage you and cheer you on as you start to remember who put all the stuff in the garage and what it was for, okay? When we raise our consciousness and expand the remembrance of our own selves, we can align ourselves with the truth that we are in these multiple costumes simultaneously and can tap into what we know in those other variable versions of our own self and bring it forth right here into this reality. This is what channeling is about. This is what receivership of information is about. This is what connecting with your guides is about. It is actually just accessing multiple versions of your own self and being able to allow it to come into this conscious field in order to integrate it into the broader knowing of yourself right here. The Earthship is the most magnificent platform, as all platforms that we as Source have created. There is a depth and intensity and integrity and meaning to every point of its creation. There is nothing on it, in it, around it, or about it that isn't significant or isn't aligned in some way with the broader truth and knowing that we are all the all. When you know that, you look at all of its mysteries with a wonderment and in curiosity, because you know that the treasures that you are going to uncover are in direct alignment with the treasures of all that you are. There are energy. Everything is energy, and everything that has densified itself into an actualized type of physical version is a convergence of cross points of energy densities in order to harness particles. So everything that is physical is harnessing, cradling, or somehow holding like a cage particles of matter to demonstrate the interpretation of a thought to yourself, to another, and to the all. So the Earthship is like a ball, or an oval-shaped ball that is like a webbing effect of an energy field that will hold and harness and house everything that makes it look real. Many things have been called. This has been called many things. Science will call these ley lines that lay on your Earthship. They are extraordinary cross points of energy. And these cross points of energy don't just lie over each other in order to support, like a safety net, matter or that which matters to you, but it also threads all the way into the center. So these work like a star cluster. So your ley lines that lay on the outside of your Earthship, each place that they point becomes a point of direct energy that hits the center of your Earthship component and creates an atmospheric condensity version there. They also outreach into your universe and actually become the patterns of some of the star constellations that govern and guide and provide a mapping system for other versions of your own self, other beings, other aliens, and other entities to find their way here, points of reference and familiarization for them to visit and create and demonstrate and know themselves as Source. If you have ever been so arrogant as to believe that the Earthship only belongs to Earthlings, and you have declared yourself as a humanoid, as an Earthling, you have been extremely small-minded. One could say that once you have walked on what you call Earth, you become a form of an Earthling, do you not? What keeps you segregated or separated from the identifying markers of this being a type of a home for you? If you believe that this is the only place that you have ever existed or that you exist now, you have a very small perception of yourself. And it is our desire to help assist you in broadening your world. Okay? When a cross point of energy occurs, there is an energetic portal or vortex that opens up. For every cross point of a ley line on your Earthship becomes what you would perceive to be a sacred site. A sacred site is an intensified, condensed, usable space of energy that activates and unleashes points of your brain, intuitive gifts. It can activate Kundalini energy, and it can stimulate, oscillate, and magnify atomic field activation in the costume that you're wearing, no matter what costume you're wearing. So all types of beings and entities usually visit realms in order to activate, stimulate, and know further points of their own selves. For sacred sites on this Earthship are usable for all sentient beings, no matter what form they choose to take when they come in touch or visit the Earthship and enter into these vortexes and portals that can help alleviate a certain portion of their amnesic state. It is a misconception to believe that aliens or entities from other realms and other dimensions are automatically in a higher state of consciousness than you are. It is also limited to believe that they are automatically in a lower state of consciousness than you are. All sentient beings are working their way back to knowing that they are the all, and they will do this through thought and emotion experience. So this Earthship serves as a platform for every form of a sentient to remember who they are as they allow themselves to do so. It is a wondrous place, a wondrous place. In lives that you have existed in, or one could say are currently simultaneously existing in, you have a tendency to erect physical forms over or in a vortex or a portal. Number one, as a marker for your own self, a massive marker for others, but also as a device that will continually transmute the energy from that vortex or that portal in a continuous state, so you don't have to wait for certain things to align themselves in order for a portal or a gateway to open. You basically will open it up, shove an instrument in there, and it keeps the gateway open. That's what a lot of the monuments are, from pyramids to shapes of heads to configurations to all kinds of almost supernatural elemental phenomenons that take place here on the Earthship. All of these are designed for you, by you, to basically demonstrate what that point or portal or gateway can do for you should you set yourself there, align yourself with it, and enjoy the experience that you are going to create there. Does that make sense? Hey. The Earthship has layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of these types of monuments, these types of portals, these types of access points, because as the Earthship has changed since the beginning of its existence, which includes the changing of the atmospheric conditions around the Earthship, things become buried layer upon layer upon layer, and though they are buried, they still hold extraordinary points of energy. What do we want to call that? Putting out of energy, the putting out of energy. And this causes many strange phenomenon that seem to occur in your oceans, in your seas, or even possibly down very, very deep, with the expulsion point being the exit point of a volcano, where you seem to have these drop holes. Where do the drop holes go to? Where you seem to find points where the Dead Sea, like the phenomenon of the Dead Sea, lining itself right up with what you perceive to be an active sea. These are all demonstrations of how extraordinarily strong these energy fields are. But more than that, they are also designed for you, by you, to assist you in understanding how your own costume works. For the Earthship is a demonstration, biologically as well as energetically, another demonstration of the costume that you wear. Many, many things run in a very, very similar pattern, and you would be amazed at how the similarities run for many, many different types of beings that exist as well. The star constellations in your universe are also part of the energetic ley lines that lay themselves on the earth. And so some of the monuments that you have built as open access points for the energies in those portals and in those vortexes, they are also simultaneously aligned with the star constellations. And there are ley lines that run this way as well. So remember, ley lines don't just lay over the surface of the earth. They protrude out of the earth as well. So these are points, stopping points or reference points of how the ley lines projecting from the inside of the earth outward shoots out into other galaxies. For beyond your universe and your star constellations are other formations that continue those energetic points of connection. And many, many, many beings follow that mapping system when they travel interdimensionally, intergalactically, interomniversally into connecting to each other and knowing themselves further in another possibility of thought. Okay? Human beings are drawn to gateways, portals, access points, because they are generally an amplified version of your own energy field that you are carrying around in your own embodiment. We wouldn't say that it is an actualized truth that they're stronger, but when you have a costume on, you have in many ways covered up your own ability to feel your own power that you are source. You're basically walking in kind of a cloaked version of your own self. And when you visit these massive energy points, they literally can help awaken you to the energy within you. And when human beings visit these points, it's not that you are experiencing anything outside of you that wakes you up, but this is just a magnified version exteriorly of what you are inside and helps you align with your own self. You do not have to visit these sites in order to have that experience. You are God. You are this energetic beingness. You can sit right now in your living room, in your car, out on your porch, and in your thought and energy desired connective state, you can become all of this energy. It is a refined practice point of awareness and concentration. But remember, Masters, you are the gods that created everything physical. And so never let anything outside of you that you created govern your knowing that you are source. Simply use it as the reminder that you intended it for it to be, and help it unleash all of that power within you. A realm is a dimension governed. A realm is a dimension governed. Anything physical lives within a dimensional space. Dimensional energy is the energy field that feeds anything that has become materialized. It is a higher state of that energy, for once something has become materialized, it's actually slowed its vibration or its frequency down in order to hold or coagulate matter together. But in the field around it is a higher version of that same energy frequency. There are all forms of realms. All forms of realms exist in all forms of dimensionals, reality, space, allowance. Just because you're a third dimensional being, you think that this third dimensional realm and that which looks solid to you is the only form of thought demonstrating itself as the physical, and it is not a truth. There are all different forms of physicality. You would perceive many of those to be forms of transparency and forms of density, and really it is just energy frequency demonstrating itself in a variable. Okay? You exist in all of those forms of energy as well, for you actually are those forms of energy demonstrating themselves in different versions of knowing. When you start to get into the broad vastness that you are and all of the ways that you have demonstrated yourself on this earth ship, you will laugh and enjoy each discovery and embrace that truth and let it add to any limited theory that you have ever had about your own self, and not judge it. For you cannot call any thought a lie. We'll have that discussion at a later date, because all thought is. All thought is. When you erect a structure directly over a cross point of energy, you have basically provided a type of a laser beam application for that energy. It becomes a harness component for that energy and can be utilized for many, 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 many different things. It can be used as a powerhouse or a power source grid for the Earthship. It's certainly coming into alignment. Many, many civilizations used them for that reason. They were a type of power plant for free sources of energy here on the Earthship in different forms of civilizations that lived here. They also had a tendency to assist the energy frequency that was living around the circumference or the area of where those monuments exist. They could literally assist in the state of consciousness of the communities that lived around those monuments. We want to talk about that for a moment, because thought has energy to it. Thought has energy to it. Fear has a very low energy state to it, and it can influence or inspire your thought energy field if you are not focusing with an awakened state of awareness as to how you are thinking and who you are being. You fall into a position where you become victim to the mass collective energy that is being created around you. This is the quintessential victimhood position, where you just can't help the way things are in your life, and you just can't help the way things have become in your life. This is because you have fallen subject to the suggested energy that is being pressed upon you by anyone or thing that is desiring to manipulate you or control you to add to their benefit. This is also known as a low conscious state, or an unaware state, or a sleepwalking state. And the masses here on this Earthship fall into that category. So those that bind you and control you, all they have to do is control the energy field around you. Control and manipulate the energy around you to keep you in a low consciousness state. To get yourself above this state, you utilize the process of going on a conscious journey, becoming aware and the creator of your thoughts and your emotions, and therefore you become the creator and full activator of your energy field. And your reality will always be reflective upon your energy field. So a high conscious journey will raise your energy frequency, which will raise your world or your reality above pain and suffering, limitation and lack, illness, disease, and disorder in any way. And you can literally live a seamless, creative life. But those that are in control don't want you to get to that state, so they will manipulate and control the energy around you, basically to try to keep you drowning in ignorance. Different civilizations that lived on the Earthship provided forms of energy outputs like pyramids that literally secreted this extraordinary high field of energy, and the people living around these pyramids had the opportunity to have their energy that they were drawing upon be in a higher frequency. This was known to some of you as the golden age of existence, where in Egyptian times, parts of the Egyptian times, these pyramids were active and they were literally secreting high frequency, which was assisting the embodiments living at that time to be in a high conscious state, which is where a lot of what you would perceive to be inventions took place, all kinds of theories took place, all kinds of wisdom came through, and then those who wanted to control and manipulate, they literally came in, conquered the people, and basically unplugged the power sources. They did this by moving the water away from the pyramids, because the pyramids fed directly off of the water that was ran underneath the Earthship and right next to the pyramids. So they pulled and diverted the water away and literally went in and found ways to shut down those power plants, so that that energy in the atmosphere around the civilization would drop, and therefore could be those people could become more easily controlled. The powerhouse resources, the great news is they aren't shut completely off. They've just had their valve shut off. But those valves can be opened back up, and people are finding ways to do that. When human beings are walking on this Earthship, and they are in low conscious states, you do not remember who you are and all that you are. You live in struggle and controversy and argument and warring against each other. Mostly the reality of this world is about pain and suffering and limitation. Those types of beings seek out locations that will raise their frequency, that will help spark or stimulate the energy frequency field lying dormant within them. And so we support these sacred places to assist you into feeling your own truth, not feeling the truth of another in a sense of a separateness, but a connectiveness, an expandability of oneness, an extraordinary extension of all that there is. But it is also designed, Master, for you to draw in those energies and harness them in your own embodiment, so that you can carry those energies forth any place that you desire and never have them shut down and never be disconnected from all that is. Utilize those experiences that way. If you have not been able to visit sacred sites, we assure you, you can create them, because there are more energetic ley lines on the Earthship than you could possibly imagine. There is such a fine screening system on your Earthship, and through your own energetic work and desiring to unleash yourself, you can create a vortex anywhere you are. In fact, we are going to go as far as telling you that you are a vortex. And the question is, are you open, or have you shut yourself down or shut your power down? The process of a conscious journey opens all of this back up for you. And ultimately, in a conscious journey, you're going to find yourself at a state of existence where all of this is going to occur simultaneous for you. It is called enlightenment. It is called the enlightenment process. And this Earthship and the atmospheric conditions around it, and the star constellations, and the galactic traversing, and all of the beings and the species that have been here, who have ever been here, and who will visit here, are you in another version of your expansive self. We encourage you to not get locked into any form of identity for yourself, because that becomes a limited perception of yourself. Many of you relate to yourselves as a particular type of being, or coming from a particular type of family. And although we will support that you do exist in that form of yourself, it is just a tiny fragment of all that you are. Better to come fully to the term that you are source in demonstration of itself, in never-ending versions of never-ending demonstrations of all that it is. And when somebody asks you, where are you from? Your answer is, I am from thought. I am from that which I am. For I am the thought that expanded itself into a demonstration possibility of a version of itself. For I am the all. That is the most appropriate answer. For those of you coming back to the knowing of that full truth, we embrace you and love you, and will continually nudge you beyond the parameters of what you currently know about your own selves. Many of you get entangled in dark shadow components of your own selves. We support those are mostly versions of low conscious states that you have held, that you currently hold in a particular existence for yourself, but that you have the ability to raise your frequency, actively pursuing the highest consciousness state, and those components of you will no longer limit you or hold you back. And in fact, in doing so, in this version of your own self, you assist yourself in the other limited versions of your own self. You become the guide for your own self in other versions of your own self, That's why we support that we and all guides are you, in just another position, in just another vantage point, in another expansive state of joy. This Earthship and this realm is an extraordinary place. You have designed it that way. It is growing and it is expanding as you are. Everything has energy. Everything has spirit and soul and consciousness about it. Honor every demonstration of thought, masters, and pull the possibility of thought into love always. As you have the opportunities and the curiosities to traverse and explore your magnificent realm that you have created, do so with an open-minded state, full of love and possibility. And instead of taking the position of simply visiting something that previously was, know that you create a newness simply by knowing the truth of that theory, and that through your desire, you can continue to activate and create new energetic spaces for your knowing of yourself and for others to be remembered anytime that you choose. So for today, perhaps you make a decision that wherever you are, it is a new sacred space, and that you are the activation of that truth. Let that put a smile on your face. Move into a position that is a steadfast knowing, and so it is. Until the next time, as it will be.